everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes and go over our final project of the semester. I say project because it's a two-part project. So this is actually something that I haven't done in a while. It's something I'm kind of bringing back this semester. Typically, English 1010 students are asked to write 4 papers. And I find that it's maybe a little bit more helpful if we use that third paper as a way to kind of get started on your final paper. And I think it gives you guys more time to look for research and really consider your research before you start writing that final paper. And the final paper isn't going to be actually a paper. It's going to be an argumentative letter. You're going to be writing this to a real person of your choice, and you don't have to send it. But I have had people who have done this, and they have gone on to actually send their letter, so it's something to think about. Okay, so as I said, the final project will be done in 2 parts. The first is going to be what's called an annotated bibliography, and I know that sounds like a bunch of word jumble, and a lot of you probably haven't done one yet. Before, you probably don't know what it is. I have lots of resources up on our course page going over annotated bibliographies. I'm going to give you guys kind of a crash course in it right now, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So an annotated bibliography is basically just a list of sources. Some of you may have had to do a works cited page before. It's going to be like that, except you're going to have, right after your source, you're going to have a little bit of information about that source. And it's going to be kind of you telling me what the source is about, whether it's useful, and I'm going to go over this more in a second, and then how it kind of fits into your research and your topic. So that'll be the first thing that you do. And the research that you do is going to hopefully be the research that you use in your final paper. So you will have that kind of research part taken care of, and all you have to do is kind of focus on writing. So just kind of a few things on topic. So I want it to be something that's interesting to you, that's relevant to your life, that you want to read things about. I'm really open to different topics. I've had people in the past who've written about, and one of the things I say here is you might think about your topic in terms of a problem that you think needs to be solved, and then your argument could be both why the problem needs to be solved and how you think a person might go about doing that. So I've had people write about problems that they see in their workplace, in their local schools. Maybe you have children and you see an issue in your local schools. I've had a couple of people who've done things like they've written to their local school board to talk about how little art and music and that kind of instruction is available in the local school. So when funding gets cut, those are the things that usually go first. I've had people who have written about a need for more kind of physical education time, or time for children to be able to play because they connect it with successful learning. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but I want it to be something that's of interest to you, relevant to your life, and then I want it also to be something that's focused. So, you don't want a topic like solving world hunger. That's a really big topic, and your actual letter is only going to be 750-ish words. So you want to make sure that you're focusing your topic, but then on the other hand, you don't want to focus it too narrowly, because it needs to be something that other people are talking about. Otherwise, you won't be able to find research on it. So I say here, it needs to be you can think of this in terms of a problem you think needs to be solved. The problem could be big or small. It could have an impact on a larger scale, or it could be something more local. The other thing that you want to think about as you're picking a topic is who could help solve that problem. So it could be like your boss or local school board member. Those are a couple of examples. Or if it's something more global, it could be something like a representative in Congress. It could be the CEO of a company. So as you work to research, you're going to find sources that establish that the problem you're writing about is a problem if it's not sort of widely established as one. So, you don't want your reader to pick up your letter and say, why is this a problem? I don't think most people think this is a problem. And you not be explaining how it is. So make sure that it's obvious what the problem is and why it's a problem. And then you're going to propose solutions. So that's kind of the crux of this. So you're writing to a person who can influence this issue, explaining the problem to them, and then asking him or her to take action and giving them suggestions about how to do that. Okay, so talking a little bit more about your annotated bibliography, one of our goals this semester is going to be to learn how to be more kind of efficient researchers. You're going to have to do research for your future classes, and also how to look at a source and figure out, is this a credible source? Is this a good source? Does the author of this source, are they someone who should be speaking about this? Are they using good research? Is this a credible publication? Things like that. So those are things that we're going to be working on this semester. And I have linked to a bunch of there's a series of 4 videos from the library that are really great. They talk about the research process. They talk about finding specific research. They talk about how to look at a source and decide whether it's something that should be used in an academic paper. So I know that the idea probably of an annotated bibliography is maybe a little bit overwhelming or confusing, but I want you guys to know this. So this is practice for citing sources for your works cited page. If they're not perfect, that's okay. And I can give you feedback on the actual format of your sources for your final paper. So that gives me the opportunity to give you suggestions about your research, whether it's how to use it or if maybe you need to look for something different. And I can also kind of help you with your citations. So each of these annotations, the little blurb about your source, it should be around 100 words, give or take. I'm not going to be counting each word, so. And then it should include kind of 3 things. So, summarize the main points of the argument. Summary means basically taking kind of a bigger chunk of information. So maybe you have like a 3 or 4 page article, and tell us in just like a couple of sentences what is the main point of this article. What is the author's main idea here, or their main argument? Evaluate it. How does it compare to other sources you found is something you might consider. Is it biased? Is it objective? What's its purpose? Those are all things you might consider. You don't have to answer every single one of these questions, but these are some prompts to kind of help you get started. And then reflect on it. How does this source fit into your research? Because you're going to be looking at 5 sources for this, the annotated bibliography. You only need 3. You can use more, but 3 is the minimum for the final paper. So you might be not using all 5. But for the reflection, how does this relate to other research? Does it help you kind of enter a larger conversation? Has it changed how you think about the topic? Those are all good questions. And I say you should get the majority of your sources from the Roane State Library databases. And like I said, we have those research videos linked so you can kind of get an overview of how to do that. You can use websites, but try to find websites that are credible. And this is going to really vary. There in the past have been students who, either because it's a really kind of new problem or idea, there's not a lot of research out there, so they rely more on like news items. I've had people who have written about, say, like a medical issue, and there's really more available sometimes for certain sources on websites like the CDC or the National Cancer Alliance or something like that. So I'm willing to work with you guys on that too. So that's the annotated bibliography. Then the letter is going to be the second part. And let's see here. I do have, so your annotated bibliography is going to be due on Saturday, November 27th. It's a little crazy, but I'm working on catching up on grading specifically to get ready for this. But I'm hoping to return the annotated bibliographies to kind of have like maybe a 48-hour, maybe 72-hour turnaround on those, so that you guys have immediate feedback as you're working on your paper. And then your essay 3 is going to be due on December 5th, so you'll have a little bit of time between those two. Let's see. Okay, so just a little bit of information about like a good argument. So as a genre, and you guys are going to be writing a lot of argumentative papers, as a genre, argumentative papers or just arguments, and just to clarify, I'm using argument in the academic term, not in like terms of a fight like you might have with your children or your husband or your parents. This is a civil sort of endeavor. So you need to have a clear and arguable position. So keep in mind that some things are not arguable. They're more of an opinion. So if I was to say that ketchup is the best condiment, that's not something that's arguable because it's my opinion. It's true, but it's my opinion. And there's no research that can back it up. There are no facts that can back that up. You need necessary background information. So in that first paragraph of your letter, you might need to give your reader a little bit of background information about the topic that you're arguing about the problem. Good reasons. So reasons and evidence. Evidence is going to be stuff that you get from your research. So facts, statistics, expert testimony, anecdotal evidence. That means, stories that you read, case studies, textual evidence. That's evidence. Reasons are going to be your kind of breakdown of the argument. So your answer to the question, why? Why is this a problem? Why should we do something about it? Why is this particular solution the best? And you're going to be kind of articulating that in your own words. So good reasons and evidence. You definitely want to appeal to readers' values. And I'll talk a little bit more later about ethos and pathos, logos. Those are things you may have heard before in writing classes, but we'll talk more about that later. A trustworthy tone, so establishing that you are a credible source, you're a credible person to be writing about this. Careful consideration of other positions. So one of the things that I want you guys to consider using is, and it may not work for everyone in terms of a letter, but if you know that there's a very obvious counter argument to what you're arguing, then you want to address that. You don't want to just ignore it, because your reader is going to say, well, why are they just kind of not addressing this elephant in the room? So considering other positions. And a lot of people think, well, with a counter argument, if I address why this is this other opinion, if I address it, it's going to weaken my argument. But it actually weakens your argument more when you don't talk about other people's kind of perspectives. Okay, so and then I have a kind of a step-by-step here. And hopefully I'll let you guys read this. I won't go over this right now, but we can talk about it more. Hopefully you will have done a lot of the work for yourself going into writing the letter, because you'll have done all of your research. You'll have a clear idea of what the research is about. You may even be able to lift certain things directly from your annotated bibliography and put it into your paper. Your audience and your purpose here. So your audience is going to be whoever you're writing to. You know, it's a real immediate audience. It's a person, maybe it's an organization, I don't know, but it's a very kind of direct audience. And you'll want to consider who that person is, what they believe, what they think as you're writing. And then your purpose is to convince that reader, that person you're writing to, that your argument is reasonable, credible, worthy of consideration. Basically, to convince them, to persuade them that this is a problem and here is a good solution for that problem. Okay, so your letter should be minimum of about 750 words. You can go over that if you want to. So I say here, because this is a letter, I'm not concerned about font or spacing. Just make it look professional. So it can be single spaced if you want it to be. It should be formatted like a letter. So in the upper left hand corner, instead of having that like assignment block with like your name, our class, my name, don't include that. Instead, you're going to put the name of the person you're writing to. That's important so that we know who it is you're writing to. Their position, if you can find it, their contact information. So, and then you'll begin with a salutation. So here, for example, I have Dear President Whaley, comma, and then the body of your letter. And then at the bottom, something like sincerely, or thank you for your time, or something like that, and then your name. The only thing about this letter that is going to be not letterish is that I do want you to include in-text citations. So I want you to be telling us where you're using research and what that research is from, and then a works cited page. So, which is not something you would typically do with a letter, but because this is an English class and you guys need to be working on citing information, we're going to include that part in there. And I'm going to go over some of these other things later, but that's kind of an overview. I hope you're not overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed. Everything except this video, which will be up soon by the time you actually see this, obviously. I have linked everything in here, so you have, I've given you a couple of sample argumentative letters. You have the library's website, those videos here, and then we also have some, let's see, a sample annotated bibliography linked here, so you can kind of see what these. So this is an example. This is an Anne Lamott book. It's got the citation, and then it tells us here a little bit about the book, and that's what it's going to look like. You'll have 5 of these, and they are probably not going to be quite so long, but and I also have a annotated bibliography breakdown so that you can kind of see, they show us exactly what it is that you're going to be doing with your sources. So, and then I have some resources here, a few readings so that we can kind of look at other arguments. We're going to be talking on the week of November 21st about writing responsibly. Yeah. So, and everything should be linked through this schedule. And I've put this on the home page with a link in the news feed directly to this. So, I hope that that's clear. I hope it doesn't freak you guys out. I am happy to help you in any way that I can. I'm hoping that I say this as I just had to drop my daughter off at my mother's house because my daughter's sick. I'm hoping we're turning a corner with health at our house. It's been a rough semester, and I know a lot of you guys have had similar problems, and I am willing to work with you guys, and I really, really appreciate you guys being patient with me and working with me. So, anyway, that's it, and I will be in touch soon. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this video or this assignment. Have a lovely day. Bye.